productivity growth in the country. There's the huge gap in the support infrastructure and capacity building of the farmers. The farmers are still not aware of what information to use. Few years back, when there were only 1 or 2 models existing in the country, the farmer still knew what to choose. But now he doesn't really know which service provider should he trust, which service provider should he go. Farmers now feel that they're much more confused, and they still are not able to take decision whom they should follow. And that's happening because the different service providers, there's no synergy between the service providers. So if a farmer is able to access information through multiple sources, he is left more confused. And there's something that where we need to take a conscious decision on what we are delivering to the farmer and how different scattered models can come together to deliver him something which can actually give him a direction and not mislead him, and rather than he becomes untrustful of the information that he gets. There's still a need for huge investment, and that investment has to come not only from the private sector, but the government do need to take a view on what and where, what kind of investments they want to put in. There's still a limited understanding of the impact of the behavior of the farmer. The farmer do understand that the information they are getting now is better, but still he continues to practice what he's practicing. Why is it so? That is important to understand to make the services that's being provided acceptable. And unless we improve the customer base of these service providers, unless we make the absorbers of these information also willing to pay for these services, these models will not be sustainable. It will not become viable business models, and they will not be able to run over years. As project-based, as the funding keeps on continuing, they might continue, but they might stop. So the huge potential that we see today might not exist few years from now if we cannot make these models sustainable. And there's still a need for improving the skill requirements of the farmers, delivering that that environment where the farmer accepts these information and is able to use these information. The survey we did this February and March was basically in the 5 states of the country, the Indo-Gangetic Plain, Punjab, Haryana, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar and West Bengal. We covered around 120 villages and around 1,200 farmers. And we were trying to see, as I said, about the information needs, what are their perspective, vision about the information delivered to them through mobile phones, and what are the present information sources that they have access to. The demographics of the farmers that we see is most of these 1,200 farmers have their education up to secondary level. So although we believe that most of the farmers are illiterate, but they are illiterate of English. They are not actually illiterate of the local language. So what we generally earlier believed that SMS might not be the right way of delivering information does not hold that much true in the present context of this sample, which is a randomly selected sample. Also, the age group of the farmers from 26 to 40 is 37%, and from 41 to 55 is 34%. Both these age groups of the farmers are the ones which are ready to innovate, which are in their initial stage, which are ready to listen to the new technologies that are available and still not stuck to the traditional information. So there's huge potential that this information can be the new models, the new methods that are available. These farmers can be made credible customers to this information, but the condition remains that the delivery of the information that we have is trustworthy, and it's a continuous process. It should not break, and these farmers feel that they're directly linked to these services. It's not that some stranger is sending them the information and then don't feel connected to that information, and therefore face-to-face interaction of the service provider and the farmer remains an important link there. Interestingly, almost most of them had access to mobile phones. In fact, all of them had their own mobile phones. There had been cases where they had even more than one mobile phone. So a few years back, when people thought that mobile phones and agriculture cannot be linked, that myth doesn't exist at all. The farmers still have a preference for the voice messages, but there are enough farmers who are indifferent. 22% of the farmers were indifferent between the SMS and the voice messages. And most of them said they readily agreed that they would be happy to receive information through mobile phone, provided that information is useful to them. And how do you quantify that information is actually useful to them? Depends on their criteria of what they think is beneficial to them, and not what we think is the information that we can deliver. So most of the models had tried to assess what are the information farmer needs, but still a systematic and continuous assessment of the information needs of the farmer is an important part. Maybe all business people cannot do that on a systematic basis. Maybe we need to have some kind of an agencies within various research institutions which do that systematic assessment. But of the benefits that we try to see from the farmers, most of them still think that it's the market information and the better prices that that yields benefits to them, and still they do not have an estimate on if it has helped them to improve their yields. They still feel that the mobile phones have not yet got connected to the experts at the right time, and Kisan call centers, most of them were very pessimistic about getting connected to the Kisan call centers. So the constraints in accessing information still lies, the biggest constraints, they have certain requirement for the information, but they still feel that the extension facility is still not appropriate. They are lacking access to information. Many of them, in fact more than 50% of them, were aware of different mobile-based information services available in their region, but they did not know how to get connected to it, how to make use of it, how to connect to the people who will help them to subscribe to this information. So even if there is availability of the information, the connectivity of the farmers might not be there to these information systems. They feel that even if they are getting information, they want these information providers also to connect them to the physical infrastructure of the inputs where there is information available. So if you are recommending a particular seed or a particular pesticide is important, they also want information where should I go to buy that seed or fertilizer. Will that seed or fertilizer available there be of the right quality, and will it be available when I want it to be? If in most of the cases they do not have the second part of the information, and therefore they go back to the input dealers for the whatever inputs they have. So that section, the service providers here cannot do it, but the linkages between different institutions have to come in. And most of the farmers, of these 1,200 farmers,